Hello there, Scorpio, and welcome to your monthly reading. Great to see you again, and I'm really excited for every sign this month because for me, June provides a chance for you to not only see what's in front of you for this month, which is why we show up, but it's a chance to really check back with the goals that you set at the beginning of the year and decide, are you happy with the progress? Is there something new that you would like to create? And really what you can do at this point of the year is decide on how to best organize your energy and your resources to make the second part count. So this is a chance to either amp up the efforts to finish things or to reset and do something that you really care about. Now, as always, you can use this for your sun, your rising, as well as your moon sign. And if there's someone that you care about in your life, you can also watch this reading on their behalf. If you don't happen to know all three parts of your chart, just stick with the sign that you're born under, and that will give you more than enough information for the month ahead. For everybody that is a returning viewer, I'd just like to say thank you and welcome back. You make this possible each and every month. If you're brand new, an extra warm welcome and a hello. Let me introduce myself. My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh, and the way that I organize readings each and every month is as follows. I like to start off with raw intuition, and I call this a channeled message. I'll be getting into that in just a moment, so stick around for that. After that, I look at a full Celtic cross, and that really allows whatever needs to come through to come through. I also expand the forecast to include health, wealth, love, and destiny after that, and that way we can make sure that we hit those major points that I know everyone cares about. At the very end, I will do both a review and a closing word, so please stick around until the end for that. Also, if you like what you see here, I will, at the end, talk about ways that you can give back to the channel. And that runs the full gamut, anywhere from liking and subscribing to joining me on social media, or if you'd like to schedule an appointment, you can do that. I also have something on my website which allows you to become a patron, and this is a really effective way to help me continue to buy cards and to basically just set up the time that you see here. So stick around until the end and I'll go into greater depth about each of those methods, what they do, and how you can partake in it. But I know you're here for information, so without any further delay, let's get straight into your channeled message for the month of June. Each and every month, I begin the channeled message by grabbing a deck of cards that's calling to me, and then I meditate on your sign to see what's going to come through energetically for you. And as I was doing that, I received an image of a star going supernova, which is both creation and destruction. And as I engaged in automatic writing, two words came to me. The first was Genesis, because that is covering everything that we talked about. That is something new coming from something old, or just pure creation in and of itself. The second piece, and I think this is the one that's going to really create the energy for you this month, is movement. And that means that no matter what you're doing, there is either going to be added momentum to that, or perhaps, in the case of a supernova or Genesis, there could be something new coming into your life that, because it's so compelling, the gravity of it could pull you in that direction. Or you may be asked, forced, or inspired to move towards something else, which as a sort of ripple effect is going to change everything in your life. So I got a very stellar image, but the way that I see that is that there is an event that's either happened, happening, or about to happen that will create some sort of like shockwave in your life. This doesn't have to be positive or negative. All I really see with it is change, development, and movement. As we look at the cards, we can start to put some details to what the change is and the capacity with which this is going to sort of change your life. But there's always free will that is a part of this. So I can't wait to look at the cards, and that's a perfect segue into the next section. So I'm going to give these cards a nice shuffle, pull out the Celtic cross, and I'll be quiet while I'm doing this because I like to observe the placements and I get additional information as I do that. After the cards are laid out, I'll rejoin you and we'll talk about each card one by one and relate it to the month ahead. Your message in the catalyst this month is to nurture yourself. You saw it was reversed. So this is saying that many of you have maybe been stagnating in one particular place too much. This could be an office, your house, maybe a mode of transportation, spending a lot of time on the train or in some sort of airplane. And what's really important this month for you is to ground yourself and get outside if the weather allows. Even if it doesn't allow, you still need to sort of change things up and somehow get into the element of earth. For those of you that might be experiencing colder weather, one way to do so is to use plants. You can have a small herbal garden in your house, or you can work with orchids like I do in the house. I also have a cacti and succulent garden on my back porch. You don't have to have something that requires a lot of energy. It's just important that it somehow is connected to earth. The reason I use plants, and so many in this space, is it equalizes the energy. They are natural healing sort of organisms. What I give to them, they give back. They purify not only the air, but the energy in this space. And I do a lot of spiritual work right here. So they provide some grounding, but they also, like I said, it's almost like they are the equivalent of an air filter, but in a spiritual realm. So they create this lightened and heightened energy. And so if anything that comes through here that's sort of dense and shouldn't be here, they help bounce it back. And they also help brighten up my energy and my mood because I love to look at them. So plants are great. Live flowers are preferable. This doesn't work with like wax or plastic flowers. You need to get something real, even if you're getting a fresh bouquet, but preferably get something with a pot and take care of it. And get your hands in there a little bit, repot something, because what this will do is take out some of the energy that you don't need, and the plant can handle it and it will make it into something better. If you don't like dealing with that, or you can't put something living in the environment that you're at right now, walk outside and find a tree that you really love and put your hand on that, or just lean against it. You can even fake it. Put a phone in your hand so people don't know that you're actually meditating against this tree. And just take a few deep breaths and send whatever heavy energy or emotions you have into the tree, and then give it some gratitude and say, thank you for taking this from me and using it and doing something positive with it. The tree will ground it, send it into the earth, and it will dissipate it. You won't be hurting the tree. You won't be hurting the planet. It's kind of like when we exhale CO2, we're actually helping the plants. It's symbiotic. So when you can, though, also put love into that tree so that you're giving, kind of paying it forward. And that's why with the plants, I'll kind of, make sure that I'm going in there and freshening up the soil, watering it, pruning it. That's me giving it love for all of the help that it's giving to me. So I encourage you, buy yourself a plant this month. Not so much a cut flower. I think it'd be great to have something with soil and tend to it. And then maybe at the end of the month, plant it in the soil, in the earth. So getting an herbal type thing, or getting like a chrysanthemum or something that you can enjoy, then plant, and then it comes back. A perennial would be great. And if you want to help the planet, you could also get a baby sapling. And if you have your own yard that you can live in, plant a tree. Something that I did when I was a kid, and I went back 20 years later and looked at them, and they were gigantic. And it was amazing to kind of see something that I did then that's going to affect future generations long after my family moved from that house. So do something nice for the planet this month. It'll help you feel better. But more importantly, it's going to open up your heart and your healing capability. And Mother Earth will heal you right back. She loves it when we do anything that helps the environment. Even these pots that aren't directly in the earth, they still have soil, which is from her. So do something nice. You'll be surprised at how it can shift your energy. The other piece with the nurture card is that you want to take care of your body. If there's any aches or pains or anything that you've been putting off, maybe there was some sort of something elective that you need to take care of, this would be the time to schedule that and make sure that you are honoring your own body so that you can keep up with everything that's going on. As spiritual beings, this is our vehicle. This is our sort of garden. And if we're not tending to everything, then we can't expect growth and basically expansion. So take care of yourself, honor it, honor your body. And that's also important. And this can be as simple as just getting enough rest, getting a massage, eating well, or again, going to the doctor and having that preventative maintenance that's necessary for all of us human beings on the planet. All right, let's get to some more tangible things here, starting with your center card. Not surprisingly, it's earth-based, We have the Prince of Pentacles, a Knight of Pentacles card. This is showing forward momentum when it comes to your money matters, which is great. And it also shows that it will be very advantageous for you if you take some sort of ownership and really make a plan when it comes to your money. Just to refresh your memory, back when we were looking at your channeled information, it was all about that movement coming in, that change, that shift. And this definitely falls within that same category. If you felt that there was stagnation before, I don't see that happening this month. I think that you're going to be able to shift out of it. In fact, I also see movement coming through for relationships. And sometimes it's a perfect storm, right? You have both work and relationships, and they're both maybe tugging you in different directions because this card is crossing, the Cups card is crossing Pentacles. So relationships might be pulling you away from your job, or you might be making a choice where it involves your family and you have to decide, is this the best for both of us? So I see a little bit of a tug of war there. And for those of you where you felt like nothing was happening, it could be a perfect storm and everything is happening this month. However, I think this is really a positive change that's coming into your life. When we look at your deep past, it feels like a lot of you have been doing significant work on yourself, or perhaps this could be higher education. The Three of Pentacles can show things like graduating from a course of study, engaging in something, maybe starting school or training, or you're simply starting to get the recognition you deserve, because in the traditional Rider-Waite version, you'll see someone kind of working on what looks like an arch, or they're doing some sort of carving, but the main thing is that there are people observing the work that they're doing and usually giving them accolades. So you're setting yourself up, or you have been since that's in your deep past, for this opportunity of advancement. And so whether you're taking a longer term path towards this, going back to school, or maybe you've put your name in for consideration for something higher, new position, a new opportunity, or you're simply now receiving the news that, hey, we want to consider you for something, I see shift and movement, and this could, again, for some of you, create a little bit of a tug of war between an opportunity and maybe dealing with some tension caused by that, which is other people not expecting it, your own surprise that it's actually happening, or something along those lines. As we look at the recent past, there's a general message here to keep an open mind. The Knight of Wands is a positive card, but the reversal in this particular card is saying that something can come into your life that may challenge your expectations. This could be an unconventional opportunity. I saw that there could be something opening up with work, with school, with money. It could also be that a relationship comes in at a time that you didn't expect or perhaps even wanted. It could also be that you're being challenged now to deal with something that you feel like, why is this coming through? I thought I did all of the preparation. So the more flexible you can remain during this process, the easier you're going to be able to manage change. This is why in the catalyst position, it's center yourself, ground yourself, find your zen, so that you can look at this and think, wait, is this actually as bad as I thought, or is it simply a different approach? And if someone comes to you with constructive criticism or a new idea, simply listen and consider it and say, let me think about it. That wasn't what I expected, but it doesn't mean that I can't move with that. So if you can simply be present and open, then you're going to be able to handle most of the challenges that come through. If you become rigid and pull the brakes into, immediately into gear, then you're going to have a hard time adjusting to change, and people around you may think, why are you being so resistant to me? Because I feel like you've set yourself up for a really positive month. There's a lot of really great movement, but you have to be open to something coming in from an unexpected source at a time when you weren't expecting it, or from a perspective that you never thought of it. And this could still be very positive. Just because you didn't foresee it, just because it wasn't the way you desired it or dreamed it, doesn't mean that it can't work in your favor. So stay open, stay grounded, take time and listen, and then you'll be okay on that. Your crowning card this month is the Nine of Wands. This is showing that you have really reached a point in your life, in your career, and really in this month where you're prepared. And that's something that I was just talking about. I feel like you've done all of the requisite work to really be able to handle anything that comes your way. Now, when it comes to matters of career, however, the Nine of Wands can show that it's time to think about moving on. And as we look at the near future, we have a Death and Rebirth card, which was precisely what I saw with the channeled message, Genesis movement. And this isn't simply a death card. It actually has emphasis on rebirth, which for many of you can mean that you're being challenged to reimagine, restart, or restructure some element of your life. The large predominance here of having both wands and pentacles for me shows movement in thought, money, and resources. So it feels like many of you might be at that point where it's time for you to make a shift in career, or maybe decide that you're going to move where you're living. You're change your living situation, change your job, or change the way that you're kind of working with your resources in general, your money. So for those of you that have a company, you might be thinking of expanding it or selling it or incorporating. Something's going to change there. And if you have an existing job, it might be about looking for something new or raising your hand and saying, I think I want to try this position. So some positive shifting and movement with your career, but because I had a Knight of Pentacles at the center, I really think that a lot of you are ready for it. So the only thing that's coming through is there might be a little bit of a curveball in timing, or maybe there's one thing that you thought you could do that they're going to say, no, it's actually this role, or it might take this amount of time, or we can only pay you this much money. There's one little curveball, but I feel like you can navigate through that. When I look at your ego this month, there is sort of internally a question of, did I make the right decision? Am I making the right decision? There could also be a no-win situation in your life. When I look in the environment, because it's important to look at that when I see something like that, I have the Three of Wands. This shows me that there's some really great things on the horizon. So if there's one thing going on right now where it was a surprise, a disappointment, or as I said earlier, it feels like a curveball that you just couldn't prepare for, you probably couldn't have, and you should just give yourself a little bit of a break and some credit for doing what otherwise looks like a great job managing everything. With so many things pulling at you this month, money, resources, and sort of unconventional ways of thinking, you're going to have to do your best to just go with this and roll with the punches. The Five of Swords also indicates that sometimes it's better to just let an argument, a disagreement, or someone's kind of drama go, and you can't win. And sometimes by releasing that unnecessary tension in your life, you actually are winning because you can focus on the positive shifts that want to happen for you. We see a chance to reinvent yourself, to start anew. And then I also see what looks like a quarter of the year that looks really great here. Three of Wands tells me that if you want to develop, create, or manage something, you can. And this Three of Wands actually shows multitasking as part of it, because there's a very active energy of working with that element of fire here. So you can actually do one or two or three things at once and still have these start to manifest. There is a big step up opportunity coming for you. I saw this in Libra. I'm seeing it for you as well. It's the Star card. This is here in your opportunity space. For Libra, it was crowning. For you, it's a little bit more off in the distance. But what I see with this is you have to reach for it. It's there if you want it, and it's a possibility for you. But in order to do that, there's a sort of sacrifice or a trade-off that has to happen. And that death and rebirth moment for you is saying, are you ready for this? Because if not, it might be a sort of passing opportunity that won't come back in a long time. So I want you to go for it. And if you're questioning, do I have the capabilities to make this happen? This card tells me yes. You're qualified, you're ready. It's really just up here. And that's what we saw earlier. Are you mentally ready for the changes that could happen here? Change of mind, change of environment, and change of title. There's a lot of different things that could happen here. So if you're not ready, then take a break, and there's no guarantee when it will happen again, but you have to believe it, mind, body, and spirit, in order for this to really be the right move for you. The Star card is upright, and so for you, it's telling me that the work that you've done here has set you up for this. And the two of these together are saying that you are qualified and that there's something that's a great match for you. All that's missing is that component of, are you ready? So if you're ready, go for it. This is about stepping into accountability, stepping into the spotlight. For some of you, it could be something like, taking public office. It can be a celebrity opportunity if you're an actor. It can be publishing or distribution. Usually I associate that more with the World card, but guess what we see here is one step away from the World. We have judgment. So you're getting very close to that. I think you're one step away. This month is getting you to that 95% mark if you're ready to make that shift. And at the end of the month, some of you might be faced with signing a contract. If this applies to you, I would say take your time, but understand that at the end of the day, this decision really sits with you, and that there's no way that you can make everybody happy. I saw a lot of court cards here, 3-night cards to be specific, and sometimes that's too many cooks in the kitchen. So do your best to balance things, do your best to kind of do what will make the sum happy, but at the end of the day, if you're not happy, that's the most important person in the room, and you need to make the decision on how it's going to affect you and your happiness and your longevity. So I know that it's hard, but realize that there may be an impossible sort of decision where not everyone's going to be pleased. Do what's best, do it with love and with directness, and then move forward. And as we expand the forecast in a few minutes here, we'll get some additional insights on how to deal with all of that. I'd like to take a look at some other connections here, because whenever death comes through, there's of course a great possibility that this can simply mean that you've lost someone or something in your life. When I look at how that is affecting you, obviously that's not easy, and this could be what the 5 of Swords is about. This can be about second guessing or sometimes regretting certain decisions. Did I say enough? Did I do enough? Could I change anything? One thing that I want to give you as a sort of place where you might feel solace is that when I look in Hopes, Fears, and Opportunity, I see the Star card. This is a card that shows that if you lost someone, this usually indicates that they're at peace or they're not holding on to that same energy that you might be holding on to. So the true challenge for those of you that are going through loss this month is for you to have that acceptance and to make peace with it, to love yourself, to love the person, and to not hold on to that feeling of, I should have said this, I wish I had more time, I'm angry because you left me. Whatever the feelings are of loss that are natural, by the way, the sooner you can get to a place of understanding that it's okay, that this is cyclical, this is part of how things work on the planet, that you couldn't have done anything more. This is just a life and death cycle, and that this person is already on the other side and is focusing on healing and working, and now they're being reborn in energy. It will help. It won't completely dissolve everything, but if you can move away from anger, frustration, and that at least will help you to get to a place where the pain and the mourning can be mended, because you know that the love still exists. I talk about this. That's the one currency that transcends every experience, every lifetime. We take the love with us. Sometimes we take the anger too, and it's always better to go for that higher emotion and that higher frequency. And my crown is opening up as I'm talking about this, so I feel like some of you have to really focus on loving yourself, forgiving yourself, and sending a sense of release to that loved one, or even if it was something you loved, like a car or a house or a belonging, understanding that that energy that you were putting into that, you can now put into something else. And yeah, that's my message there. I feel like now I can move on because my crown is like wide awake here, but focus on loving yourself, loving that person, and allowing yourself to let go a little bit. This is also where nurturing yourself is going to be key, spending some time with an earth element. The sand, the earth, a tree, some plants, the dirt, any of those things is going to be really helpful, okay? Let's expand the forecast and look at your health card. Health is not just your body, it's your mind, body, and spirit. So let's see what the aggregate message is and give the cards a shuffle. So in health, we have a card here that's encouraging you to look past illusions. And for those of you that might have been dealing with the loss of someone, we do see that sort of generational message here. Particularly when it comes to the older generation, I feel like it was kind of expected at that time to sometimes put up a strong showing for everybody in your life. Even if you were going through a tough time, you didn't always let people in. If that existed, if that was a father, a mother, a grandparent, someone in your life where you always felt like there was a wall, this is just showing you that you can be part of the next generation that kind of heals that. You can also forgive them for any sort of lack of transparency that they had. The other thing when we're looking at your health is to be honest with yourself, with your limits, like what you can and can't do, also with what you should be working on, what you should be improving. As I kind of glance at some of the cards here this month, I think that for many of you, there's a need to focus on maybe how you're dealing with stress management. The Nine of Wands can show just a lot of pressure, a lot of kind of sometimes just that you're kind of constantly on it's like you're running on a treadmill, right? Because typically that card will show someone that has been through the ringer a little bit, but you could be kind of abusing your body. And if that's the case, you want to make sure that you're taking care of it. For others of you, you might be in a point where you're not moving enough. The Death card can often show stagnation. And this is a chance for you to hit reset because we have the Death Rebirth card there and start to make some things happen in a good way. And for the rest of you, I think this can just be, I think a lot of this is about stress and kind of dealing with what's going on in the mind, because that's going to manifest in the body. And for those of you that are feeling guilt, anger, frustration, whatever this Five of Swords could be for you, you really want to take care of that. As I was reading this, I also got a little bit of an activation in my solar plexus. So for some of you, if you're dealing with a lot of stress, it could be causing digestive issues or this loss of a key figure in your life. If that applied to you, or even just a relationship that ended, you have some cords that are still being connected in the solar plexus. So you could do a contract release. I talk about that a lot. I have a video on that. You can also just meditate on sending white light into that part of your body right around your belly button. And just imagining that everything is clearing and that you're melting any connections between you and someone else so that you can start to get your strength back. And that will be a key way for you to improve both your vitality and just your general mood. All right, so we just looked at health. Let's now take a look at wealth. Wealth isn't just money, it's also self-confidence and how you're approaching or sometimes pushing away future opportunities that come into your life. Your message in wealth is knowledge, and as we look at knowledge, I see a wonderful parallel between that and the Three of Pentacles that we saw in the deep past. That's showing me that if you've already started or embarked upon some sort of a training or higher education, this is supporting that effort. If you're at a sort of fork in the road where you're thinking, should I finish? The Nine of Wands is usually a good indicator of a yes to that answer, or to that question rather. It's saying that you put so much into this that why would you give up now? This is the perfect time to kind of go into that last sort of sprint to get it done. So if you're in a long distance run or a sprint, this is the time where you don't want to give up, where you want to make sure that you're putting that extra energy into accomplishing your goals and your dreams. This could also be the curveball that I saw. You might find out something that you didn't expect. You might receive some information or some news that makes you look at a situation differently. And if that's the case, that's great. I want you to make decisions, however, based on data, knowledge, and tangible facts. Yes, how you feel is important, but don't allow a temporary sort of swing in emotion pull you off something that really makes sense, and maybe in retrospect, you would think, oh, I should have just stuck with it. I see a lot of you really close to completion with Nine of Wands and Judgment, and so don't give up if you're very, very close. If some additional information came in and it's changed your perspective, that's okay. The other thing is do research this month. If you're going to sell a house, buy a house, start a job, stop a job, or change how you're going to invest your money, it's really important that you look into all of the past records that are available, what people are saying online, and really just weigh it out with all of the options that are in front of you before you take any step in that direction. All right, that was wealth. So let's now take a look at love. Love is not simply how you're relating to someone in a romantic relationship, it's also how you're feeling and relating to everybody in your life, because this is coworkers, friends, children, parents. Love is a universal currency. This will kind of help you figure out how to spend it. So with love this month, there's actually a little bit of pulling back that's happening here. We have the Solitude card, and I also see that there's a parallel between that and what we see here with Nurture, or the Nature card here. Allowing yourself to maybe get away from any sort of toxic environments, or if there's too much going on at work or at home, what you're going to need is a little bit of time to meditate. And whether that's, I really think you need to get out of this this closed off space. That was something that we saw here that was intrinsic to the reversed nurture card. Get outside, try to find this solace, perhaps without closing yourself in, because one thing that I see as a component of that is that it doesn't allow the movement, the nature of the rebirth card to kind of take effect. And you want to stay open-minded, and you want to keep the space open and flowing. So my advice for you is, yeah, definitely take that time to decompress, maybe even to go on a little bit of a hike or a retreat, but try not to stay in stagnant places too long. You want to move so that you can start to move with the energy of death, rebirth, and as we see here with judgment, to enable that shift to happen. So we just looked at love. Let's go ahead now and move along to your destiny card. Destiny functions as a GPS, as a wayfinding card to kind of help you decide, are you happy with the trajectory? And if you're not, it gives you some insights on how to do a course correction. So let's give the cards a shuffle and see what's in store for you. Your message in Destiny is beautiful. It says light activation, shine your light, your internal guidance is coming through loud and clear. And when we compare this to the outcome card here with judgment, this is really letting you know that you have the capacity, you have the ability to make the right decision. Don't second guess your choices. Don't second guess your voice. You know what you have to do. Just go ahead and follow through with that vision. The other piece that I'd like to highlight is the lighthouse that is showing up here in love, something I didn't talk about initially when we were looking at it. It's a very small lighthouse, but it's a lighthouse nonetheless. And this is showing me that for some of you, there could be a person in your life that is feeling alone, is feeling like there's nobody there for them. This is a month where you may need to step in or sort of shine your light and your heart and your love a little bit brighter than you usually do, so that you can reach out and help them see their capacity, help them through a moment in time. If you're the one that's feeling sort of isolated or alone, then if you can't find the light within, talk to somebody so that you can rekindle that, because there's so much beautiful energy that is available to you this month, particularly with the star opportunity and also with this rebirth opportunity, that I don't want you to miss out. It's interesting because as we look back at your health card, it was about keeping up a facade or breaking down a facade. So some of you may either be the one that is sort of keeping things to yourself, or you might notice someone in your life that is a little bit resistant or reluctant to let that part of them show, the vulnerability show. And then when we looked at wealth, it's going to be about learning about this, or kind of gaining the knowledge. So there might be an education opportunity with yourself or with someone else about the fact that it's okay to reveal this sort of vulnerability, or to come out and be in that place where, you know, you're afraid of being judged. And that's also what the judgment card is saying. So stand tall, shine brightly. And if you're going through a tough time, know that it's actually a sign of strength, and you'll get your light back if you ask for help, if you let someone in. And this is the great thing here with this. It says light activation. So get back to your meditative practice, find some help, talk to someone if that's you. And if you see someone in your life, don't wait for them to come to you. It's always better to err on the side of caution and also just share your love and your light with other people. This is a perfect segue into looking at everything that we've talked about and doing a quick review. And then I will end with some closing words. Your channeled information this month was all about creation and destruction, aka Genesis, and also the movement that will happen because of that shift. There was a reminder as well to take care of yourself, to get grounded, because this card initially came through reverse. So you want to try to get out into nature and also nurture your body. Take care of any parts that you've been neglecting, whether it's your back, whether it's even just your heart. We looked at the end here and we saw that some people might actually be going through some sadness, depression, or feeling of being disconnected. So try to ground yourself and find a way to sort of renew your love, renew your light. This is going to be important not just this month, but the rest of the year as well. At the center of the spread, we have two competing resources. We have time, energy, and money. And then we also have like love and relationships here. Some of you may be feeling that these are pulling you in different directions. The rest of you just may see that there is a lot of activity happening in both. Your challenge this month is how to balance those two. In the deep past, it feels like a lot of you have been doing work on yourselves, possibly going to school or having some sort of form of knowledge expansion or development. Usually with the Three of Pentacles, it's higher education or something where you're going to learn to specialize in it. So you might be studying under a master or something here and learning all of the skills of the trade. And this is really, really good because in the long run, this is what opens up the star that we see here. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's talk about what else is coming through. As we looked at the Prince of Wands reverse, there was a reminder here to stay open-minded, to allow for an unusual or unexpected source of love, of money, of ideas. The more you can flow with this, the more that you allow the change that wants to come through here to come through. It's important for you to continue to push forward. If there's anything that you've been working on, there's some opportunities on the horizon here that want to develop, so don't give up. And if you do decide to make a change, then make sure that it's based on knowledge and data, not simply emotions. In the near future, we see the change that I've been alluding to here. We have a death rebirth card, but the emphasis is on rebirth. The cards next to it are very, very positive. Three of Wands and the Star. What you want, what you seek, it's starting to come through. The Star means that there's a big sort of acknowledgement or opportunity to step into something that is going to allow more visibility or more fulfillment. The only thing that can hold you back this month is second guessing your emotions, your feelings, or having those feelings get in the way of all of this positive trajectory that you've kind of set into place. At the end of the day, it's your decision and your decision alone. So, you're going to have to sort of decide if the trade-offs that we saw here are worth it. Some of you may be experiencing a significant change or loss in your life. And for some of you, this is what might be making you feel like you're alone or isolated. If you have that loss, reach out. There are people that want to support you, but you'll have to let down the facade that we saw here in the health area. Speaking of which, this is a time to really get real, to be truthful with yourself, with others, to forgive as well. So whether this is that someone else didn't show you who they were and you learned something, or if it's been you and you haven't been able to come out and be authentic, this is the month to begin the healing. And when it comes to that coming out, that announcement, or that integration, you're going to be loved for that. Yes, some people may judge you, but they're going to also use your own decision of who you are as a sort of basis. So if you love who you are and you're comfortable with it, you're more likely to get that same reception from others. Knowledge is key in all aspects of your life, but particularly when we're looking at money and your career. So do the research before you make any big step in that direction. If you feel alone, or if you know someone that is alone, reach out to them, support them, be that light that we see here, be the lighthouse, activate your light, activate their light. Don't be afraid to sort of change up the situation. Some of what's making you sad may be the feeling that people just don't see you or recognize you. You've been working hard, and if it is just the workplace that's making you feel that sense of solitude, then again, do some research and make a leap of faith. Because when we look in the diagonal here, it's the work that you've done, Three of Pentacles, the change that's necessary, death, rebirth, and the Star, which is going to allow you to emerge as something more. And that's the genesis that we see here. It's like that supernova, which allows for all of that change to happen. And as we look here in the outcome, again, it is light activation. Get back to that place of loving and of being in the light. This is going to be key to happiness and sustainability now and always. So this brings your monthly reading to a close, but I hope it gave you all of the insights you need to work through the blessings and the perceived blocks that are ahead for you. If you ever want to talk a little bit more about something that I covered here, or if you have a question of your own, feel free to reach out to me. If you look in the video, you'll notice that there are some cards embedded in it. The first card will allow you to check out my rates and availability on my booking site. For your convenience, I also put that below the video as the first link. Take a look at that, and if it makes sense for you, I'm happy to meet with you, and I look forward to doing so. If after watching today's video you really enjoyed the content and you were glad that it was made available to you, there's a way that you can give back and say thank you. You can click on the second card in the video, and again the second link below the video, and this will take you to a page that really outlines how to be a patron. For instance, you could make a contribution as small as $1. It could be one time or it could be recurring. And this can be done through PayPal or through Patreon. There's a lot of different ways. If it's something you'd like to do, not only does it help me buy supplies, but more importantly, it helps me mark time off on my calendar to make these videos. And right now they take about 12 days, 1 day per video. And the more contributions I get, usually the earlier in the month I can do this, and that allows me to get it out to you in a nice, expedient manner. So I'd like to just say thank you for everyone who's done this in the past. Your contributions make everything here possible, and I really love and appreciate you. And I'll dedicate today's video to you. If you'd like to make the next round possible, click that second link and second card, and thank you for making the next round a reality. The third way that you can give back to the channel is simply by liking and subscribing. And if you want to go a step further, click on the third link in the third card. And this is going to take you to my website where you can join me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, as well as sign up for my newsletter. Now, after doing that, if you want to become a little bit of an ambassador, you can also share this video or just my Facebook page on your feed, and this will allow me to connect with more people. And that's really why I am here. I want to be a combination of this light activation and lighthouse card, where I'm trying to kind of open people up and show them that there is a way, there is light, there is a sort of way to find hope, even with all of the chaos that we often feel from month to month. So I'd like to thank you in advance for sharing that message and spreading the word. You're my ambassador, and I appreciate you for doing that. I'd like to end this reading where I began, and your closing message this month is about your ability to create something new and rise from the ashes, just like I mentioned at the beginning, that idea of a supernova. So let's really focus on the phoenix that's here, and I didn't talk much about this. If there's anything that's going on in your life where you feel like there's no way out of this, or I've done so much, I've worked so hard, and now this happened, this is reminding you that you're far from your sort of swan song here. There's a lot more energy and a lot more light left within you, and everything that you see, your house, your body, this planet, all the planets in the solar system, even the sun itself, they're created from the death of another star. And so when something dies in this universe, especially a star, other things come from it. When we have an opportunity that falls away, even when we lose someone, whether it's a breakup or there's a loss, a death in our life, then we learn from that, and what's left is usually stronger for the experience. It takes time to find the strength. It doesn't happen overnight. And it doesn't happen alone. That's why this month it's important for you to be a light for others, and if you're in need of light, and we all have that moment, even light workers, to go out and seek the help or the support. But I see some really exciting things for you if you're willing to ride that wave of change, and I hope you are, because what's waiting at the other side is beautiful and it's bright, and people deserve to see this part of you, this beautiful energy that you can share with the world. Thank you so much for allowing me to spend the last 40 or so minutes with you. I know you have a lot of choices here in YouTube and in life in general, so I appreciate you. Wishing you love, light, and abundance now and always. I'll see you again in 1 month's time. Until then, be well.